All right, back in the basement again today to talk about this powerlifting bar from Hansu, which they've dubbed their Nighthawk powerlifting bar. Hansu, if you're not familiar with them, I've done a couple of videos on some of the plates that they offer, including their powerlifting discs and their deep dish plates. The too long didn't read of those videos is that they offer a good value for the money. So they're a more budget-friendly brand, but they have some decent products for the price point. So with this barbell, I just want to give you some general thoughts if you are considering it, as well as just give you where I think this may fit depending on what you're looking for. So starting at the end, working our way in, let's first just cover some real basic specs. It is a 29mm bar, hence power bar. It has competition style collars on it. It's rated for 200K PSI, and it is finished in black phosphate. Now taking a look at the end, on the end caps, it says power bar. It has the Nighthawk logo. I actually find like these are pretty nice. It's a different finish than you'll see from a lot of other manufacturers where they just kind of stamp something onto the actual metal end cap. This is more of like a rubberized piece, high gloss finish. It looks pretty good if you're into that kind of thing. Coming to the sleeves themselves, they are slightly ribbed, so if you don't like that zip, putting plates on and off, this might be a detractor for you. To be honest, for me, it doesn't really matter. Getting to the collars, I mentioned this is a competition style bar, which means it has thin collars like you'll find in a lot of IPF approved bars, which is going to mean that combine that with the 29mm shaft that we talked about and the tensile strength rating on it, this bar will be extremely stiff under heavier loads. However, if you're in a wider rack like I am with Rogue, which is 49 inches with their 3x3 racks, I think the space between the collars here is something like 51.5 inches, 52 inches. This being 49 inches doesn't really give you a ton of room to play around with, which can really be a detriment to some people walking out squats. Not so much on bench. On squats, typically people will take a step back and a step out, so the weight tends to shift a little bit. On bench, you typically unrack with both arms at the same time, unless you like to live dangerously. So walking out on squats will have to get better if you use this bar, or your rack and you will pay the price for it. Moving in, has standard bushings. The sleeves spin fine. No one really cares about that for powerlifting bars. As long as they spin some and not too much, that's all we really care about. No issues here with this bar. Coming to the shaft itself, I mentioned it's a black phosphate finish. That's kind of a bottom of the barrel finish in my opinion, so it doesn't add much cost to the bar. It can make it look pretty sweet because it's done in black. This is kind of like a chalky feeling, so you have a little bit of a grip with the finish. It's not shiny and smooth like you'll find in black zinc. It does offer some corrosion resistance, but in terms of versus other finishes, it's kind of right at the bottom of the barrel, right above something like bare steel. So if you're in a really humid environment, this isn't going to offer a ton of protection. But if you're in a really humid environment, even stainless steel can rust faster than obviously it would in a nice controlled temperature type environment. One of the upsides of the black phosphate, in addition to just how it looks, I think it looks pretty good, feels pretty good, is that it doesn't fill in the knurling as much as some other finishes with other platings go. So you get a little bit better feel of the knurl compared to something like a chrome or a zinc or a Cerakote. The downside here though is with this particular bar, the knurling isn't really cut too deep to begin with. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 5 being about average for what I consider to be a powerlifting type bar, which you typically want to see some level of deeper cuts and aggressiveness either in the mountains or again, how deep those things are cut, I would put this at like a 4. So it's a little bit below average in my opinion. It's comfortable. So if you're doing a lot of high rep work or you just have very sensitive hands and back, you don't want to tear that up, this could be a bar for you. But in my own personal preference, I prefer something for everyday training, more in the 7 range or so. So the knurling on this leaves a little bit to be wanted for a competition style power bar. It does have your standard knurl marks, that's all you're gonna get on here. And it does have a center knurl as well, which helps the bar grip your back during squats. I mentioned already the black phosphate's going to help with that as well. The unique thing about this center knurl is that it is longer than you'll typically find at about 6.25 inches, where normal barbells and power bars are usually in that 4 to 5 inch range, so a little bit bigger. And in fact, this bar compares very favorably with my Lu M1 Mastery Steel powerlifting bar that I've raved about and really like a lot. This one kind of meets the exact specification and look, minus the fact that that's stainless steel. This is black phosphate that has aggressive knurling, and this has more on the passive-ish side for a powerlifting bar. So if you're coming from a standard gym bar, beater bar, I think you'll find this knurling okay. But if you're looking for something that's really kind of over the top aggressive or just good in general for powerlifting, not the bar that you're looking for. However, where I think this bar can really fill in a nice niche, if you will, is at its price point. Again, I mentioned Hansu has some very good price affordable options, a good bang for the buck. This bar retails for $329 Canadian, which doing the math conversion today equals out to about $253 US. It has free shipping in, I believe, Canada and the United States with no import fees, duty fees, things like that. So for about 250 bucks to your door in the United States, I still think it is an okay bar, again, given the caveats I've mentioned already with the finish and the knurling feel. Now, comparatively speaking, where I would put this is right in line with if you're also considering something like the Bells of Steel Bare Naked Power Bar. In that case, that bar retails for $200. I've done a review on it. I like it a lot, especially for the price point. That bar is going to have better knurling, in my opinion, if you get a good copy of it, which can be an issue with going on the cheaper route, where this bar does not have as good of a knurling, but with this, you do get some oxidation protection on here. You get a little bit longer of a center knurl. You don't have as ribbed and grooved as sleeves as the Bells of Steel, but that's kind of where I would put this bar. So if you're looking for a very budget-friendly power bar just to get your foot in the door, you're looking at the Bells of Steel, this could offer some more options depending on if you're okay sacrificing the knurling for about $50 more. But in that case too, you then have to look at the next range, which is like the $300 range, in which case that opens the door to a lot of other power bars as well. So a budget-friendly power bar that has some kind of holdbacks depending on what you're looking for, but could be a good daily driver, again, if you're looking for an entry-level bar at a decent price point. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But in the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big.